Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into the knowledge you need to be truly well informed. As parents, caregivers, or just involved community members, we all try our best to keep kids safe.
Absolutely. It's top priority.
But the world keeps changing, right? And sometimes new challenges pop up, things we didn't expect. Today, we're shining a light on something, frankly, pretty surprising and potentially alarming that seems to be flying under the radar for a lot of people.
It really is.
So let's unpack this. The specific thing we're diving into today is called 7-OH. That's 7-hydroxymetragenine. Now, it's connected to the Kratom plant, which some people might know about, but this is, well, it's different. It's a highly concentrated form, and that's where the concern comes in, particularly for kids.
Yeah, and the gravity of this threat, it's really serious. What's so concerning, I think, is how these 7-OH products are often disguised. They look harmless.
Disguised how?
Well, they're made incredibly accessible, showing up in places like, gas stations, online, and they look deceptively like candy.
Wow, okay.
And that's why you should care. These aren't some hidden back alley things. They're right out in the open, almost targeting kids with this packaging.
That really does sound urgent, which is why our mission today is, well, pretty clear. We want to really understand what 7-OH actually is.
Right.
Why it's so dangerous, especially for children. We'll share some real-life stories, too, unfortunately, about its impact.
The human cost.
Exactly. And most importantly, we want to equip you, the listener, with the knowledge you need to protect kids from this. So by the end of this deep dive, hopefully you'll feel informed and empowered.
That's the goal.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. What is 7-OH? I mean, the name itself, 7-hydroxymetragenine, is probably new to most people listening.
It probably is. So basically, 7-OH is a very powerful chemical. It's an alkaloid, and it's extracted from the kratom plant. Now, kratom itself, the plant, has traditional uses, maybe for pain relief or energy.
Right, I've heard of that.
But the crucial difference here is this 7-OH you find in consumer products. It's often synthetic, or at least highly concentrated. It's not the same as just using the plant leaf.
Okay, so concentration is key.
Absolutely. And what's really alarming is its potency. The FDA stated it could be up to 13 times stronger than morphine.
13 times. Wow, that's a shocking comparison.
It is.
And what's really unsettling then is how these incredibly potent products are getting to kids. You mentioned gas stations.
Yes. Gas stations, vape shops, online retailers, they're marketed often as mood enhancers, maybe relaxants, stuff like that.
But they don't have any actual medical approval.
None whatsoever. No FDA approval for any medical use. They're essentially operating in this gray area, unregulated.
Okay, so how do they actually work in the body? What makes them dangerous?
Well, the mechanism is really concerning. 7-OH basically hijacks the brain's opioid system. It binds very effectively to what are called mu-opioid receptors.
The same ones that drugs like heroin affect.
Exactly the same ones. It essentially mimics those powerful, dangerous opioids, and that's why it carries the same terrible risks, addiction, for one,
Right.
but also respiratory depression, which is dangerously slowed breathing. And in severe cases, it can even lead to death.
That's horrifying. And you mentioned the packaging earlier, making it look like candy.
Yeah, and this is where it gets really insidious. Fox News reported on this, the easy availability combined with candy-like packaging. We're talking fruit-flavored gummies.
Gummies.
Yes, or things shaped like ice cream cones, bright colors, sweet flavors. It's a strategy that seems clearly designed to appeal to children and teens. It's a huge red flag.
That deceptive marketing is really alarming, but it brings up a crucial point. Why are kids specifically so vulnerable to 7-OH? Is it just the marketing?
It's partly the marketing, but it's also their physiology.
Yeah.
Children are just biologically more vulnerable. Their smaller body size is a factor.
Okay.
The FDA pointed out that kids consume more of any substance per pound of body weight compared to adults, so the dose they get is effectively much higher.
Right, the concentration effect.
Exactly. And on top of that, a Healthline article mentioned that children's livers are still developing. They're immature, so they struggle to metabolize, to break down these potent substances efficiently. That increases the risk of toxicity quite dramatically.
So if a child accidentally eats one of these gummies, mistaking it for candy, the consequences could be immediate and severe.
Absolutely catastrophic, potentially. We're talking about seizures, serious heart problems, even respiratory failure, very quickly.
And the accessibility just makes that risk so much higher.
It does, because unlike regulated drugs, these 7-OH products have very little oversight. They often get mislabeled, maybe just as kratom, to sort of dodge scrutiny.
Right.
FDA Commissioner Marty McCurry put it bluntly in an NBC News report. He said, They're marketed for children. They're gummy bears, they're bright colors, they're candy flavored. It really highlights that intentional appeal.
But it's not just accidental ingestion we need to worry about, is it? There's also recreational misuse among teenagers.
Unfortunately, yes. We saw a Reddit thread, for instance, where teens were talking about buying 708 shots at vape shops.
Shots, like little drinks.
Yeah, little concentrated drinks. And the concerning part was they seemed to think these were somehow safe alternatives to alcohol or other drugs.
Which raises a huge issue about misinformation, doesn't it? If kids think something that looks like candy or a fun drink is safe, but it actually acts like a powerful opioid.
That's the danger. That misinformation creates a false sense of security. They experiment with something that has immediate, potentially severe opioid-like effects, and they have no idea what they're actually dealing with.
These aren't just abstract risks or statistics, though, are they? Let's talk about the human costs. These stories are chilling.
They really are, and it's important to share them. Take the case from last year, a 15-year-old boy in Ohio.
Okay.
He ended up having a severe allergic reaction and seizures. Why? He ate some 7-OH gummies at a party. He thought they were regular candy. His parents were quoted in a local news report, absolutely devastated. They said, "We thought he was safe, but those gummies nearly took him from us. He needed to be hospitalized." It just echoes the FDA's warnings.
And that's not an isolated incident, right? I heard about one in Florida, too.
Yes, another really tragic one. A 13-year-old in Florida overdosed on 7-OH drink shots.
13.
Bought online. This story got a lot of attention on social media. The child went into respiratory depression, stopped breathing properly, and was thankfully saved by emergency intervention. But it was incredibly close.
Just terrifying.
And these individual cases, they connect to a broader trend. Poison control centers have reported a noticeable rise in pediatric exposures to kratom-related products.
So more kids are getting exposed.
Yes, and 7-OH is specifically implicated in cases involving nausea, dizziness, confusion, even in kids under 12. These aren't just minor side effects. They reflect the FDA and HHS's deep concerns about the potential for serious adverse events, potentially even death.
It's a really sobering picture. Beyond these immediate crises, let's dig into the specific health dangers. What makes 7-OH so fundamentally risky, especially for younger bodies?
Well, the FDA has outlined several severe risks. First, as we mentioned, respiratory depression. That's slowed breathing. It can be fatal, and it's especially dangerous for kids with smaller lungs.
Okay.
Then there are cardiac issues, potential heart damage, irregular heartbeats, arrhythmias.
Heart problems, too.
Yes. Also seizures. High doses are known to trigger convulsions, and because it acts like an opioid, there's a significant risk of addiction and withdrawal, even from short-term experimentation by teens.
Right, the opioid connection again.
And finally, there's concern about liver toxicity with prolonged exposure, potential long-term liver damage.
And you said children's bodies amplify these risks.
They do. Their developing systems absorb toxins faster, but they eliminate them slower than adults, so the substance builds up more quickly.
So even a small amount can hit them harder and faster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Leading to a very rapid onset of symptoms, anything from nausea right up to coma. Their bodies are just not equipped to handle something this potent, something that acts like a powerful opioid.
It just seems unbelievable that something this dangerous is so easy to get.
Which brings us to the systemic issue. Why? Why is 7-OH so widely available if it carries these kinds of risks? How is it slipping through the cracks?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the core problem really lies in how it's classified, or rather, how it isn't properly regulated yet.
How so?
It's often sold under the guise of being a dietary supplement, or sometimes even a food additive.
A dietary supplement, like vitamins.
Sort of, but that category has much, much less FDA oversight than drugs do. As NBC News reported, dietary supplements don't need pre-market approval.
Meaning companies can just sell them?
Pretty much. They can put 7-OH products on the shelves, and the burden is on the FDA to prove they are unsafe after they're already out there. It's a reactive system, not proactive.
So the danger is already present before regulators can step in. Exactly. It allows these risky products to reach consumers, including kids, before there's any real regulatory check.
We have seen some action, though. I remember the FDA sent warning letters to some companies back in June.
They did. Warning letters went out to 7 companies for illegally marketing 7-OH. That's a step.
But it doesn't seem to have stopped it entirely.
No, unfortunately, these products are still widely available. It feels a bit like playing whack-a-mole. You shut one down, another pops up.
So what's the bigger solution then?
Well, the FDA announced a major push in July 2025. They're trying to get 7-OH classified as Schedule I controlled substance.
Schedule I, like heroin or LSD.
Exactly. That classification would put severe restrictions on its manufacturing and distribution, aiming to really curb its availability.
Right.
But importantly, that process is still ongoing. It hasn't happened yet.
Okay, so it's in progress.
Right. And HHS has emphasized that this kind of proactive regulation is crucial to prevent potentially another wave of opioid-like crises, especially involving new synthetic substances.
Clearly, while the regulatory wheels turn, this can't just be left to the government. Parents, communities, they have a huge role to
Yeah.
play, right? What are you seeing in terms of response?
Oh, absolutely. The community response is vital, and we are seeing it. There was a social media thread, for example, with thousands of likes, parents sharing fears, warning each other about finding 7-OH in local convenience stores.
So awareness is growing.
It is. And what's interesting is the position of groups like the American Kratom Association. They advocate for keeping kratom itself legal and regulated, citing its pain relief uses.
Okay.
But even they generally agree that this highly concentrated 7-OH form, especially the way it's marketed, is dangerous for kids and needs to be addressed separately. So there's some nuanced agreement there.
What about schools? Are they getting involved?
Yes, some are. There were reports out of California about schools actively distributing FDA flyers about the risks of 7-OH.
What kind of advice are they giving?
Practical stuff. Urging parents to check their kids' bags, look out for unfamiliar gummies, candies, vapes, things that don't look right, trying to intercept it early.
That makes sense.
And you see similar things online. Community forums like on Reddit, people sharing tips on how to spot these products, telling others to be vigilant, especially at stores near schools.
It does raise that question, though. How do we empower more people? How do we make this vigilance widespread and effective?
That's the challenge, translating awareness into consistent, collective action.
Okay, so we've really dug into the problem, the risks, the regulatory gaps. Let's pivot now to actionable advice. People listening are probably thinking, what can I actually do? Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely. And there are concrete steps, drawing from FDA advice and what communities are already doing first, and maybe most important, educate kids.
Talk to them directly.
Yes, teach them, age appropriately of course, to avoid unknown candies, drinks, vapes, especially if offered by friends or bought from sketchy places. Open conversations about substance risks are key.
Okay, educate. What else?
Second, check products. Be observant. Look at things your kids bring home. If something looks unfamiliar, maybe use a reverse image search app on your phone, like Google Lens, to check the packaging online. Some parents on Reddit suggested that.
Good tip. Secure things at home.
Definitely. Third, secure household items. If anyone in the house uses Kratom products for pain, keep them locked up, away from kids and teens. That's just good practice for any potentially harmful substance.
Makes sense. What about seeing it in stores?
Fourth, monitor local stores. If you see products that look like 7-OH being sold, especially if they seem marketed towards kids, report it. You can report to local authorities or directly to the FDA's MedWatch program. The number is 1-800-332-1088.
Okay, report it. And support regulation.
Yes. Fifth, advocate for regulation. Let your lawmakers know you support the FDA's efforts to classify 7-OH as a controlled substance. Public pressure matters.
And finally, know what to do in an emergency.
Crucial. Sixth, no emergency signs. Learn the symptoms of a 7-OH overdose, things like extreme drowsiness, very shallow breathing, confusion, seizures. If you suspect someone is overdosed, call 911 immediately. Don't wait.
Okay, that's a really practical list. So just to kind of wrap up the core message here, 7-OH is a real and it seems growing threat.
It does.
It's got this incredibly potent opioid-like effect. It's packaged like candy. It's way too easy to get. The risks are just stark, especially for kids. We've heard the heartbreaking stories.
We have. And while that FDA push to regulate 7-OH is vital, it's not done yet. So right now, today, action from parents, schools, communities, it's absolutely essential. Vigilance and education are really our best defenses at the moment.
Definitely. So take a moment, everyone listening, just reflect on what we've talked about. How does this change your understanding of the hidden dangers that might be out there? And here's something to really think about after this deep dive. How do we as a society strike that balance between, new products hitting the market quickly, innovation, and the absolute need for proactive rules to protect the most vulnerable, especially our kids, particularly when products deliberately blur the line between harmless candy and dangerous drugs? What does effective vigilance really look like in today's rapidly changing marketplace? And how do we make sure our children don't end up being the casualties of these regulatory gaps?